This person is so angry with you, and you know exactly who this is. They are someone who's coming around and saying these things, and now...
Hi, this is Alese Osborne with AstroMatrix, and I'd like to take you on a trip. Are you asking the wrong questions? Are you finding that you're a bad reader because you don't know any of the cards? Are you having trouble connecting with your deck? Are you not drawing from your personal experience into your readings? There's so many things that can make us feel like we're not really connecting to the cards and to the person that we're reading for, or to ourselves. We're gonna try to streamline that and make a new connection with our cards today. And I hope that you brought your deck because we're gonna be playing some games. Let's get into it. Have you ever gotten a reading like this? That means, okay, Two of Pentacles. Somebody is just relying on the booklet so hard. Or maybe a big fancy book, but it feels a little stop and go. Like, we want to have flow in our readings. We want to feel a connection and a synastry with our decks, with our reader, with our message. And it sometimes is fractured when the reader doesn't have confidence in what they're doing. So here are some great ways to connect with your deck so you don't have to do a stop and go book reading. This is an exercise I would do when I first started tarot, and I was at cafes and fairs and all kinds of places. And basically, while I was waiting for people to come and get readings, I would do this exercise, and it really helped me get ready to read. This is how it works. You go through your deck. You don't have to shuffle, you can do whatever you want with that, but just kind of reflect on each card and how it relates to your life in the moment. So yeah, that's me. I have a happy family. So lucky. Six of Wands, the return of the hometown hero. It's my wheelhouse. I've been doing this for a while. And just keep going on and on, relating to each card that you're pulling and how it pertains to your life in the moment. Maybe it's not your life, but somebody you're reminded of right now. So this exercise is great. Inversions are accepted. And basically, every time you're pulling a card, you're connecting with the deck further and further because you're thinking of how the story relates in real time to a situation in your real life. Therefore, when you're pulling for others, you say, oh, the Judgment card. That makes sense. I was just thinking about the Judgment card and how it relates to a situation that I'm pretty fond of, and I can totally talk about how that might relate in your life. There's a little difference between drawing from personal experience and projection, where you're telling people that their experiences are the same as your experiences. It's not exactly what we're trying to do, but they're metaphors. Everything's a metaphor. So we're using that to interpret what could be happening from someone, and we kind of lace together a story with different little partial stories to create almost a ransom letter of what is happening. And we do our best to explain the meaning of each card in a row, and then we come to a point where we say, oh, I think I know what's happening with you. This would mean this. Another great way to get in touch with your deck is to pull a card in your spare time and try to draw it. What are the details that we might overlook when we're not thinking about it? We're just looking at the deck. In our own way of drawing, we're trying to see, what is his expression? Frustration here. Nine of Wands feels angry,
but determined. Is this like a little frown? Well, this isn't the best drawing I've ever done, but here we go. So, creating a little space for you to keep a journal as you continue your work as a reader. For a profit or a hobby, you might find that illustrating along with writing, you can go ahead and journal about how you feel when you pull this card, what you think it might be saying, observations you've had after pulling the card throughout your week. And I say that taking the time to actually draw it yourself can be very helpful, even if you're not a professional artist, even if no one ever sees your drawings. You know, that's something that any one of us can do. It's not just for the best artists in the world to interpret things through image. And all of tarot is images, you know, so figuring out how certain body language makes you feel if you're doing it yourself. You could also get up and try to take the pose of the character. This is a really absurd little guy I'm making here. Okay, so, you know, I've lost my touch here, but who cares? Like, this is for me in my little journal. I feel stuck when I pull this card. I feel like I've been working so hard and there's no progress. So, of course I'm feeling frustrated. The more that you create your own unique relationship with your deck, the more your deck will speak to you. And try to do it this way when you are also learning from others and books and all that, because when you're doing things this way, you're learning how to have your own instinct, your own relationship, your own interpretation. So not everyone thinks the same thing about every card. I've known a lot of readers who have different cards to mean different things than I have, and that's totally normal. So just give yourself a break and allow yourself your own process, your own personal journey, your own exploration with how this makes you feel, and let that be something that you learn how to trust in your relationship with your deck, outside of what you're supposed to be doing, because that always is very, very distracting in the world of intuition.
Personalizing deck is just what it sounds like, making it personal. I've known readers that literally cut the borders off of their cards, and that was something that helped them connect with it. And you don't have to vandalize your card or do anything physically to make it your own. Some readers will wrap their cards in silk and do a moon blessing and use crystals. There's a whole other video about that. But making time to create ceremony around your deck, to spend time with it, to have some things that you do. So every time you use your deck, it is a familiar tool, not an alien object that you're constantly wondering what it's trying to tell you. The more familiar it becomes, the easier it is to interpret, the easier it is to explain, the easier it is to not know what it's trying to tell you and handle it with grace and curiosity. Remember that curiosity killed the cat and satisfaction brought it back. So go ahead and mess up. Go ahead and experiment. And that means successes and small failures or lessons. The more that you play, the more you're going to have interesting experiences that adds to your wisdom.
I'm sure, like anyone who's ever done anything, you've had some success and failure, and sometimes it's really funny to have a little blooper reel. I know that I've tried to do things that were a little awkward in tarot before, such as reading for a dog, reading for a puppet, and so many other things just as experiments, which every experiment is an experiment. It's not necessarily a failure. These moments are learning moments. So good or bad is sort of irrelevant. It's about adding to our experience and trying something new and expanding our awareness, which expands our skill set and our knowledge, and then in turn our expertise into our mastery as tarot readers. Can you share an awkward reading that you've gotten or given in the comments? I'll tell you one of mine. I was a new reader, and it was one of my first regular gigs. This girl comes in and I see that she had an oppressor in her cards in her life, and she was really stuck, and I was so worried about her, and I interpreted it as she was being abused by someone, and I started giving her advice based on this, like, you know, you could really like seek help and this and that. And I felt so emotional after the reading. I actually cried in the restroom alone. And then later I found out she had a teacher in school that was very strict and sort of a hard ass, and she wasn't being abused. She was being harshly criticized by a very mean old grumpy teacher. And I had kind of gotten the wrong number on the situation, but sort of the right area code, you know. That was very embarrassing. And she didn't know that I felt that emotional about it, I bet, but I still feel kind of embarrassed about how off I was there. So if you have an experience as a reader where you kind of piece things together and read the cards correctly, but you assumed your own kind of thing and it was a little off, go ahead and write it in the comments. Or if this has happened to you while receiving a reading, I think these are funny and I love it. There's thousands of these stories and I want to hear more.